What if the biggest star of the 2026 World Cup isn't a player at all? No name on a jersey, no face on a billboard, something quieter, something almost nobody in the stands will ever notice, but it will watch every single touch, every sprint, every heartbeat of the tournament. 48 teams, 3 countries, 104 matches, and it will remember all of it. This is the story of the machine behind the beautiful game. For over a century, the World Cup has been decided by eyes. A referee's eye, a linesman's flag, human judgment, human error, human drama. But in 2026, for the first time in history, the United States, Canada, and Mexico are not just hosting a tournament. They're hosting an experiment, and the question at the center of it is deceptively simple. Can a machine make football fairer without making it less human? Start with the ball. It looks ordinary. It isn't. Adidas built it and called it the Trionda. And inside its shell sits something no ball has ever carried before. A 500 Hz motion sensor and a rechargeable chip, quietly logging its own speed, its spin, the force of every strike, the exact millisecond it leaves a player's boot. Somewhere, a data center is receiving that information before the crowd has even finished celebrating. But the ball is only the beginning. Above every stadium, 16 optical tracking cameras are locked onto the pitch, and they are not just filming, they are measuring 29 points on every single player's body, tracked 50 times a second, feeding a system that generates over 150 million data points in a single match. Let that number sit for a second. 150 million. That's not a highlight reel. That's a digital fingerprint of an entire 90 minutes, rebuilt in real time as 3-dimensional avatars, mirroring every player's movement almost the instant it happens. Why would anyone need that much data just to watch a game of football? Because the game has a problem it has never fully solved. Offside decisions decided by fractions of an inch. Careers, and sometimes tournaments, hanging on a call made in real time by a human eye trying to judge a moving line from 30 yards away. FIFA's answer is called Semi-Automated Offside Technology, and in 2026, it reaches its most advanced form yet. Cameras and sensors reconstructing the exact position of a player's body the instant the ball is played, flagging the infraction before the broadcast graphic even catches up. Here's where it gets uncomfortable, because the same year this technology reaches its peak is the same year a very old question resurfaces. If a machine can see what a human referee cannot, should the machine be making the call? FIFA's answer, officially, is no. Every offside, every penalty, every red card still ends with a whistle blown by a person standing on the grass. The technology does not decide, it assists. But ask any referee privately, and they'll tell you something more complicated. Once a machine tells you where the line was, how do you ever again trust your own eyes over its answer? This is where the story becomes personal. For decades, referees carried the loneliest job in football. One wrong call, and a nation remembers your name for the wrong reason. In 2026, referees will wear body cameras stabilized by AI, giving broadcasters and, more importantly, review officials a view from inside the play itself. Supporters of the technology call it protection, a referee's own record of what actually happened. Critics call it something else, surveillance. A referee who once had the final word now works inside a system that records his every decision, his every hesitation, for the world to review in slow motion, forever. Would you want a camera on your body every time you made a judgment call at work, knowing millions of people could replay your mistake in 4K, frame by frame, for years to come? Behind all of this sits infrastructure most fans will never think about. Lenovo's hybrid AI system, edge computing inside the stadiums themselves, paired with AI servers and data centers, processing information almost instantly, all of it moving across private 5G networks and dedicated fiber lines built specifically so a World Cup match is never at the mercy of an overloaded public network. Because here is the uncomfortable truth. This tournament runs almost entirely on connectivity that most people will never see. And if it fails, even for a moment, the consequences ripple through everything, from offside calls to broadcast graphics to stadium security systems. And that risk is real. A fiber cut, a power outage, a single point of failure in a system tracking 150 million data points a match. FIFA's organizers know this, which is why redundancy isn't an afterthought. It's the entire architecture: backup data centers, duplicate networks, systems built to fail safely rather than fail completely. But no engineer will tell you the risk is zero. They'll tell you it's managed. Then there is the platform almost no casual fan has heard of: Football AI Pro, an analytics system now available to every one of the 48 qualified teams, giving coaching staffs access to the kind of statistical breakdown that, a decade ago, only the wealthiest clubs in Europe could afford. This is not used for live, in-game coaching. FIFA has drawn a clear line there. But before kickoff and after the final whistle, it becomes a second brain for coaching staffs, a way to see patterns no human analyst could spot alone, which raises a deeper question about fairness itself. If every team, from Brazil to a debutante nation making its first World Cup appearance, has access to the same AI analysis, does technology level the playing field? Or does it simply hand a new advantage to whichever federation has the resources to interpret the data best? Outside the stadium, the technology takes a different shape, and a darker one for some. At select venues, robotic security units, nicknamed K9X, patrol stadium perimeters. Facial recognition and smart access systems, deployed by local organizers where legally permitted, manage crowds of tens of thousands moving through single points of entry. Real-time AI monitoring watches the crowd itself, looking for the patterns that precede trouble before human security ever could. For some, this is the future of public safety, invisible and instant. For others, it's the quiet normalization of surveillance at a scale most democracies have never accepted before, justified because the audience wrapped around it is a football match instead of a protest or a border crossing. Would you accept being tracked by facial recognition just to watch a game? Millions of fans in 2026 won't be given the choice. And what happens to all of it afterward? The biometric data, the tracking history, the location patterns of 100,000 people a night across dozens of stadiums. FIFA insists player and fan data is handled securely, but security and permanence are different promises. And once that much information exists, the question of who protects it and for how long never fully goes away. Meanwhile, for the fans in their seats and the millions more at home, none of this friction is visible. What they'll see is smoother, faster, more intimate football than ever before. Instant replays rebuilt in 3 dimensions, camera angles from the referee's own perspective, broadcast graphics that show the offside line before the flag even goes up. The machine, working perfectly, disappears into the experience. So where does that leave the sport itself? Football has always been a human story, told through human error, human brilliance, and the unbearable tension of a decision that could go either way. In 2026, for the first time, a machine will be watching every second of it, remembering everything, missing nothing. The final word will still belong to a person in a black shirt with a whistle for now, but somewhere in those 150 million data points per match, in those 3-dimensional reconstructions and AI-assisted calls, a different question is quietly being answered, one match at a time. Not whether artificial intelligence can help football, whether football can survive being fully understood.